Good morning. I just want to talk to you this morning about Peter in the Bible. And Peter is arrested, and he's about to go to court the next day. He's going to go to trial. And when he's arrested, the courts are afraid, or the leaders are afraid, that Peter's going to try to escape. And so that night, whenever he goes to sleep, they put chains on his wrist, and they chain him between prison guards. And so he has a prison guard laying on this side of him, and he has a prison guard laying on this side of him. But Peter has complete peace, and he's asleep. Peter's laying there between these two prison guards, and he knows that that the Lord loves him, and that whether he lives or dies the next day, that God's going to be with him. And so he goes to sleep, and while Peter is sleeping, his friends and family have an all-night prayer meeting. And at this all-night prayer meeting, they're praying for God to bring forth a miracle for Peter. And so in the midst of this, Peter's asleep, and he's laying there between these two prison guards. And all of a sudden, here comes an angel of the Lord that appears before Peter. And Peter looks up, and he sees this angel of the Lord. And Peter thinks that he's having a vision or a dream. He's not sure which one that it is that he's having. And so the angel of the Lord hands him his clothes and says, "Get dressed, put on your clothes, put on your sandals, and follow me." And so Peter gets up, and he starts following this angel of the Lord. And he's following this angel out past other guards outside of where he was laying. His chains had literally broken and come off of him, and the two men that he was laying with didn't even know that he got up and had moved. And Peter is being led by an angel of the Lord, and he's being led out of the prison, outside to the city gates, and the city gates miraculously open up, and Peter walks outside the gates, and then all of a sudden the angel of the Lord disappears. And Peter's standing there, and Peter realizes that this isn't a vision, this isn't a dream, this is actually happening, that the angel of the Lord literally just set him free. And so Peter runs to his friends and his family, and when he gets to the house of his friends and his family, something really interesting happens. He's banging on the door, and the servant girl comes to the door, and she sees Peter standing at the door, and she runs back into the family, and she says, "Hey, Peter's standing at the door." And they're saying, "Well, Peter can't be standing at the door because he's getting ready to go to trial today. He's chained. They have him in bondage. He can't move. He's completely surrounded by prison guards. God's got, we've been praying all night for this miracle for him today." And then they hear Peter's voice outside the door, and then they say, "Wow, that must be an angel of the Lord that's come and speaking in Peter's voice." They don't even get yet that the miracle that they had been praying for all night long was literally manifested and standing outside of their door. And so the servant girl keeps telling them, "This isn't an angel of the Lord, this is Peter. He's standing outside the door." And then they run to the door, and what do we see? We see Peter standing there, and we see that God answered their prayer. And what's really interesting about this is that not only did that happen a long time ago, but even today, we ask God to answer our prayer, and God answers our prayer, and then we, in our natural mind, can't believe or can't figure out how God answered that prayer. And I just want to say something that's really amazing about this story. This Peter that God set free, that loosed these bondages from him and walked him right out of that prison, that is also the same Peter that 15 years earlier than that was a completely different man. If you think about the man that Peter was 15 years earlier, Peter was the man that denied Christ 3 times. And he was so afraid and such a coward that night that when he denied Christ, he even tried to change his voice, or they said, "We saw you with him." And Peter said, "It wasn't me, it must have been somebody else." And I just want to say to you today that I don't know where you're at in your walk or what's going on in your life, but if you were the same man that Peter was 15 years ago, or if you're a bolder Christian today, God's still God, and he's still on the throne, and he's still answering prayer. And I just thank you that you be encouraged in knowing that even the Word of God said, Jesus told Peter, "Satan came to sift you as wheat, but I have come to encourage you in faith that you can walk in the promises of God." And I'm saying that to you today. I'm encouraging you in faith that whatever you're asking God for, know that God is the great I am, and he's more than enough to answer your prayers today, and he wants to answer your prayers today. And I just encourage you in that. And God bless you, and you have a great day today. Thank you. Bye-bye.